Welcome to another week in advance. How are you doing tonight, Christopher?
Really great. How are things there in La La Land, David?
Still feeling like it's literally La La Land. Just before we got on this episode, you and I were just talking about that power in Neptune in the fog bank and how Mars has been here for so long in Libra. You know, I think we're all ready for this story to shift, and it looks like we get to talk about that shift coming up here as we are about to enter July this month. So, and this is the big turning point for a lot of us.
Yeah, it absolutely is. The only real other cycle of challenges will be coming up. A little bit of edginess next year in the first quarter, first half of the year. But by and large, I think we're moving out of that cycle of just like getting slammed over and over and over again. So, and you know, we have this regenerative energy now with the moon coming to newness, renewal in that wonderful sign of Cancer, and the moon loves being in Cancer. So I think this is going to propel a lot of people forward with things that have been kind of offline for a while.
Yeah, this is definitely a new moon that we're ready for because the last new moon was in Gemini and it was squaring Neptune. So what a month of, sometimes, I mean, it can be confusion, it can be beautiful as far as really, you know, connecting with spirit in some sort of ways, but reality, I think, has just been kind of all over the place. It's been kind of like shuffling cards or 52 pickup. All the cards fall off the table and you have to pick them all up. But I think this Cancer energy comes into root somewhere because really it is about our emotional roots. It wants to find a home. It wants to nest. And finally it can, as the moon comes home to its home sign, to rebirth. I mean, what a beautiful new moon in Cancer, because it really is all about Cancer and the home, the moon's home. And this one's trining Neptune, so it's not squaring it. There's not an issue around Neptune. This one, I think, gives clarity after the fog. And really, just all around, if you're looking at this new moon horoscope coming in, I mean, it's pretty positive.
It absolutely is. And, you know, it did conjunct the sun at a very tight trine to Neptune, and it's also shooting kind of a benevolent surge in that direction of Chiron as it's backing up in Pisces and filling out by sign a grand trine with Scorpio and Saturn's transit there. So I think it's kind of like it's almost like a weaving, you know, when you're pulling all the threads together and new patterns are starting to emerge. And I think that that's what we're going to see as we launch into this coming week with the new moon energy, is we're going to get a bigger and better sense of where we're supposed to go, what we're supposed to be doing, what it is that has become, you know, relevant to the top of the list. This needs to be accomplished first. So I see this as a new moon that has a lot of potential to open up vast areas of resource for people.
Yeah, because there is a fruit about Cancer. It is the place of, you know, it does provide. You know, there's something about the ability to provide in Cancer, whether it's emotionally, and even Cancer is a sign that I don't think it gets enough rap. Money is a great place in Cancer. You see solid Cancer positions, you're usually going to see a bank account full. You're usually going to feel, you know, your stomach full. We also have Jupiter here, which this is about, I think, the big, powerful Jupiter and Cancer story, which is about just the great and fullness that we have in life, a feeling of finding home. And this is definitely a weekend where we're coming into this feeling as the moon is going to pass over Jupiter after being renewed in the sign of Cancer. And I think we're going to feel the special gifts this weekend. This could be a weekend where out of nowhere, and maybe you didn't even know it, but there was a gift waiting for you and it was all set up for this weekend. And it can really light things up. I think the issue, though, is the moon still will make it square to Uranus and oppose Pluto. I think the lesson Friday into Saturday, it really is to be grateful and to sit in your emotions and to not let, you know, crazy things get in the way, or not let any fears get in the way. There's a sense of, you know what, emotional security we must find, and we need to nest in this place. I think it's important.
Oh, it definitely is. And, you know, the nice thing about the renewal of the moon is it is happening early enough so that it's not actually pushing out any kind of a response to Pluto over in the opposite side in Capricorn. And it's definitely, you know, out of that interaction of Uranus and Mars. So after it renews itself, then we'll get a little bit of fireworks. But during the act of renewal, it's very much clear of any negative vibrations, and it's definitely pulling in that positive Neptunian energy. So we should see it as showing up as a very visionary, very lucid dream kind of process. And I think a lot of people are going to get some very profound messages from the depths of their subconscious. You know, those images will start to float up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So keep a note by your bedside and take, you know, jot down little messages to yourself about the dreams, because a lot of times you'll have a dream, you'll wake up, and then you'll forget it the next day. And it probably would be a good idea to record this very positive event of the renewal of the moon in Cancer.
Yeah, this is definitely a really nice touch to our lives that I think you're right what you brought up at the very beginning of this whole entire reading, which is this finally gives us something to go with here. This finally, I think, is just the beginning of these big transitions, because if we step out of this weekend, the moon comes out of Cancer into Leo and really lights up, but this is all while Mercury finally goes direct. So a big turn of events finally. This gives us forward movement again. This is also Mars coming off of the big opposition to Uranus, and now it's going to start to make a square to Jupiter, which honestly adds kind of an extra oomph to things. That Mars square Jupiter can really be the like, let's go, and maybe people are really ready to put the pedal to the metal now, and sometimes it could be an issue, but I definitely believe this is a week of oomph coming back. This is definitely a moon in Leo going to show us. This will be the last time the moon is in Leo, because the next time it comes around, it will be a Jupiter in Leo with a new moon in this space. So really powerful events that are going to come here in Leo, and maybe there's going to be some sort of understanding of what those events will come by just highlighting the beginning of this week.
Exactly. And, you know, of course, we've all been patiently waiting for Mercury to do its thing and finish up its little backward dance and turn around again. And so whenever Mercury goes retrograde in Gemini, I've observed myself that it definitely has a profound effect on finances in your life. So if you've been waiting on people to pay you, if you've been looking for resources that you haven't been able to discover, I think the shift, the fact that the shift is occurring in Gemini and then it enters into Cancer as it advances, to me that's pulling that energy of money and communication into that region of the home and the nest, and where you're placing your values and where your valuables are stored. So I think it's going to be a really noticeable, experienced kind of phenomenon when Mercury goes retrograde or goes direct this coming week.
Yeah, this is the biggest turn of events that you can, because it is happening in Gemini. And we also have Venus, which is coming off a square to Neptune. So it's a very fast square, but a lot of this Gemini energy is ready for things to move. I always look at Gemini as the mover and shaker. I don't think it gets enough of that. You know, it wants to change. It wants to check things out. It wants to stimulate things. It wants to experience. One thing about Gemini is it definitely doesn't want to sit around. And so even though, yes, part of the energy is in Cancer that's wanting to nest and rest and kind of enjoy the fruit of the summer or the fruit of the winter, wherever you're at, there's a sense we want things moving. And Mercury moving forward in Gemini is, hey, let's get things going here. We're ready. Mars is definitely going to start to feel the Jupiter presence as it's going to start at square. And this is also Mars now getting closer to the North Node, which is actually making a square to Jupiter. And so I think there's a lot of anticipation in our lives for expansion. I think that there's a lot of tension for things to finally open up. And I feel this week is going to highlight what we can open up with maybe it will give you some opportunities. And maybe it's kind of like, you know, when it's like a jail person who hasn't, or a starving person who hasn't eaten for weeks, and then they go get food and then they almost blow their stomach out because they eat too much. Like, it's kind of like that energy starts to come around.
Yeah, it is kind of a ziggy energy, and you do have to monitor yourself as these energies come online, because they will definitely kind of flood your own personal energy fields. So it is important to stay grounded and stay focused, and to have that expectation that, you know, with that advance of Mercury and Mars finally clearing some of the extreme energies of that opposition and that square energy, I think we are going to be feeling very much inclined to get out, travel, socialize. I think this is going to be an entire week of people being motivated to reconnect and regroup and reorganize their shared vision, the collective vision.
Yeah, this is also a week where I feel people are ready to get contracts going together, negotiations on the table. Things are ready to move. People are ready to make the things done. And it is advised as an astrologer, especially on Mercury in Gemini, to allow these conversations to happen. You know, don't be afraid of it. Maybe there's that Saturn in Scorpio where people are afraid to make moves, where Saturn is at its stopping point. It's now going to reach 16 degrees, and this is where it's going to go direct on July 20th. So there's going to be a period here for the first 3 weeks of July where Saturn's stopped. So maybe even though things are trying to move and stuff, there could still be this kind of paused energy, but it could be unveiling commitment stuff. It could be unveiling your trust issues. It's trying to maybe reveal more truth to you as things are moving. There's this background of, as long as it's within your truth, I think it's okay. But Saturn's getting ready to come back online here. And as you and I have been talking about for months here, really it is, of course, this 3-week period in July when finally Mars comes out of Libra. We've got Jupiter in Leo. We have Saturn that'll come back online. And there's a lot of energy ready to go, you know? So I think these 3 weeks are a long buildup towards that big umph and that big push, because when Mars enters Scorpio, you'll feel it. And when Jupiter enters Leo, you'll feel it. And when Saturn goes direct, you'll feel it. So everything is in a long preparation stage, but this definitely is a week that there's a lot of things to pack for in our new journey. There's a lot of negotiations. There's a lot of tickets to buy. There's a lot of things to do. So this isn't going to be boring. And this is definitely a week that highlights your emotional aspect, your heart aspect, and whether or not you can get things organized, because we do have the moon in Virgo. And lately, I'll be honest, because there's been so much Pisces energy and so much Neptune energy and so much Chiron energy, a moon in Virgo has been nice to balance things out and bring kind of stability. And this week could really get you to feel like you're kind of back, that you've got your strength back, that you can get things moving, that you can organize things. With Mercury forward and the moon in Virgo, I think that midweek into the end of this week, things really can feel really solid.
Yeah, and I think also all 3 earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, have been feeling a little bit stunted or a little bit blocked. And I think this is going to be the release point so that the people who have a predominant earth sign in their chart, you know, your rising sign, your sun or your moon, or a cluster of planets in an earth sign, I think you're going to really feel like you're going to recapture some of that sense of where you wanted to go and what you wanted to do. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens when the moon advances into Virgo and grounds out a lot of this stuff that's just been floating for so long.
There's been a lot of floaty stuff, and this weekend kind of highlights a little bit of the floaty, because it is a new moon in Cancer. It is Venus square Neptune. It really is more when we come out of the weekend into the week that I definitely feel things light up. That moon in Leo and Virgo is going to be very powerful. And on top of that, the sun is getting ready to make its opposition to Pluto as well this week, which I think is going to face a lot of that grounding, a lot of that structure of our life that I think we need to pay attention, as we might want to just go jump into bed in certain places in our life. But if it's the wrong bed, that could become a problem to the structure of your life. You know, I think that there's this need to make sure that you're on target with things, that you're staying to the plan, and things can be nice. This can also be a string of laziness that could become an issue this week when you get things moving and then, you know, things get nice and then you go into, well, let's just vacation. Cancer is the sign of vacations. I don't know if it's actually in a book, but I give it the sign of vacations because it is. It's the summer. It's the fruit of life. It's the emotion. It's a hammock, you know, and when you mix it with Libra, there's this sense of wanting to sit on the beach. You got to be careful because I think this Pluto opposition is showing us that there's plans here. Don't forget about them, that there's work still. And the sun is going to make its, you know, minor T-square over to Uranus and Pluto late this week, and that's kind of what the next couple weeks are going to be about. This is also getting ready for July 4th weekend, which, by the way, is a very interesting position in astrology because the planets are affecting the July 4th position. So this might be a very interesting, and I think even though this week goes well, and of course we'll talk about next week as we do next week's show, but there will be, I think, this week brings us to some more intensity, and we're gonna, as the week progresses and ends, yes, you get your strength back, but that also means that it brings a lot of new things to the surface that need to be sorted out in a very kind of extreme and very passionate way.
Exactly, and you know, it also is looping in among all these other things that you're mentioning here, the fact that there's that huge shift going on in the nation's chart. So this 4th of July, which is the birthday of the United States, is going to be interesting because Pluto's activity as it's moving, you know, that destiny point over in Capricorn is going to be kind of rewriting, I think, the direction that the nation is going. And I don't think that's clearly revealed even to the people who are creating that new destiny. So it's going to be kind of fun to watch, you know, the renewal of the nation's chart this year, our solar return for the U.S., and to look more deeply into how the other planets are going to be affecting the vision that America has as we move forward.
Yeah, it's an exciting vision. You know, these are exciting times for those people, and I think I'll just be honest. This is the whole world. I think everybody's been ready for their visions to come true. I think everybody's been ready to have things shift. And this is the exciting kind of prep work or the packing up before the big train here, you know, that takes off. And this could be a week where, gosh, things really come together for you and start to move in a direction. And I think they're things that could last a long time. So they're going to be constant. They're not going to just be in and out of your life like things have kind of been. I think we're going to start to see things stick a little bit more like glue in our lives as the universe is getting sticky again. It's not being so floaty like you brought up earlier.
Exactly. And, you know, I know for me and actually for our videos, this Mercury retrograde definitely was screwing around with tech all over the web. So I think we'll see that begin to settle down too. And I think it'll be interesting to kind of pay attention to solar spots and to the sun's flaring activity and see if the flares start to become less concentrated and have less of an impact, because in the past I've noticed that when Mercury does retrograde, we frequently have a higher level of solar flare activity, and that's what screws up a big part of our communications.
Yeah, the communication stuff's coming back now, you know, and it looks like in a positive spot. I just actually realized this as we're talking. Mercury goes direct while trining the North Node. So I think there's this powerful aspect of this Mercury direct. And Mercury retrogrades ending are a big excitement because now we got 3 months to go for it. We got 3 months to shake it up. We got 3 months to, you know, bounce around. We got 3 months to, you know, I call it kind of zipping around on the freeway.
Exactly. It's outrunning the outrunning the competition too. That's always kind of fun. Well, you know, in addition to the cards and the astrology, every once in a while I like to toss in something a little bit different. And tonight, as we were preparing, I pulled up one of my rune stones to see what the energy was. And this is a very positive, powerful energy flow that's coming into play here. if you weren't able to actually see the rune itself, this is the scribed version of it. And this is the rune Jera, and it is the rune of success. So that, I think, bodes very well for Mercury going direct also.
Yeah, I think it's actually beautiful for that, because that's kind of the energy right now. I think what it's doing is it's showing us that there's life back in the universe in kind of a weird way.
Exactly. And I think it's also telling everyone that with Mercury going direct with the energy of the new moon, the projects that you're going to be launching now, the things that you've been waiting to bring online and to move forward with, you're pretty much given a high probability of success with this configuration, with the way that the universe is opening doors for us as we advance into the month of July, and as we begin to really feel that vibrancy of the sun beaming down on us here as the summertime has unfolded.
I know, and I think, and I'm just, maybe it's just me, and maybe it's because I do live in California where it's summer every day, but it just hasn't felt like summer yet, and I've been relating it to the astrology as far as I just don't feel like, I just feel like time has just stopped for months. I just don't feel like, I just feel like it's just all been very kind of like, I don't feel like I'm feeling the highs and lows of life. There's some sort of numbness around, if that makes sense.
Exactly. You know, one of the things that actually helps with that is go out and get a couple of CDs of Jan and Dean and the Beach Boys. They always kind of perk things up there in Southern California. You know, when I lived in Southern Cal, I used to love to zip around blasting Jan and Dean and Beach Boys and, the surfer music. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I'll just put on my glasses and just, we'll go rock it out.
Absolutely, and who knows, you may come across the ghost of James Dean there somewhere on Hollywood Boulevard.
Ooh. We have any cards for the week?
Actually, I was just moving them around here and taking a look at what's coming up, and it looks like the week is going to really start off with a bang. It shows the first card up as we hit Friday, and the new moon energy, nice justice card, that card of balance and restoration. So whatever it is that you've been wanting to get rectified in your life, that you've been wanting to advance with, this new moon has immense potentiality. It's a very fertile moon. Over the weekend, again, I think it's that Cancer moon sun vibration going on. And of course, when the moon hits Jupiter, we're going to get another surge of this energy. But a lot of images and communication coming from the subconscious. So like I said, pay attention to your dreams, jot them down. I think you will discover new insights will be just kind of floating up into consciousness. As we start into next week, we have a really nice card, the Six of Swords. And as you can see, this boat is moving out on the lake, and it's placid. There are no waves on the horizon. You have an invisible force guiding you as you're moving forward. So it's very important to stay in tune with your angelic guides or with your animal guides, whatever it is that you rely on, that you relate to. This is a new moon where you want to do that kind of ritual, where you do the invocation and you do something to honor and respect the spiritual forces around you. And then, as we continue to move through the week, I think as we see Mercury start to come online, we're going to see a lot of catch-up energy. This is a Five of Rods. A little bit combative Tuesday, Wednesday, perhaps into Thursday. as people are starting to feel that restlessness. It's like, time to move forward now, time to shift around. But by the end of the week, we're moving into a position of strength. And that's a lovely card and a beautiful concept of having a sense of security and confidence. So very empowering week. And of course, the energies are there, but it's up to you as to what happens with them and how you work with them.
Yeah, it is I think that I like that you brought up people's symbols or their animals, because I think it's in time to be in touch with those energies now as we kind of change gears here and finally kind of enter what I like to call the freight train again. Whoop whoop, or the freight train. Whoop whoop. Like, I think it's important to connect with the other side. I think it's important to connect with any token that you have out there right now. This is a time to be prepared, because when you're packing and when you're making these big event changes in your life, to make sure you're in tune right now, because that's when it matters most. Not when you're going through these big shifts that the universe is going through. It's more on sometimes these more subtle and empowering moments where you have to be on your game.
That's exactly right. And you definitely have to surrender the ego's inflated kind of image that it presents to us of itself, because that is one of the most severe blockages that you will have to communication with your higher self. So this new moon would be a good time to do the meditation and to really kind of diminish that ego identity and see yourself as part of a greater process that's unfolding throughout the universe, and know that this intimate connection is something that's sustainable. You can feel like you are inspired, you are in spirit throughout this entire coming week, and I think that's what gives us a lot of validation, affirmation, and a lot of personal power.
Well, this is going to be an excellent week, and I think, you know what? I think you did an excellent job of bringing out a lot of great insights today. Especially the cards were wonderful, and I think we're tuning in and helping people see that this really is a new start for a lot of us. And even though this isn't the official starting gate, this is, like the Olympians when they get to the starting gate, when they put on their uniform, where they talk to their coach, when you can actually like get ready, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely, yes. It's the that pause before the actual event, just like we had that pause before the dawn. And I love getting up early in the day and going out in my backyard because the birds all go crazy right before the sun comes over the horizon, and it's that pause and then the excitement of a new dawn. And we've got,
Uh-huh.
yeah, we've got a new dawn, definitely potential for that as we move into the month of July.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to being with you in July, so I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great down there in Arizona. I'm trying to shed a few extra pounds to get out there and stomp around in the sun with you guys, and we'll see what happens.
Wonderful. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you next week for our July 4th forecast.
Yes, I think we probably will be sharing a few insights as to the nature of our nation's future here for a solar return for the coming year for the U.S. That might be kind of fun to look at too.
Yes, it will be. So, well, thanks so much, Christopher, and I will see you next week.
Great. Thank you, David. You have a great week.
You too. Bye.